We've got some real special stuff coming up.
Any behavior, it's going to be context dependent. So if you want to make sure your clients show up correctly and get the best results while working with you, you need to shape their environment. Every single company that starts working with us, we focus on the journey first, because unless we have a repeatable, streamlined version of their client journey, it doesn't make sense to spend time on anything else.
Welcome to the Ethical Scaling Podcast, your guide to navigating online business with integrity. Join Jay and Ben on this epic journey. Whether you're a seasoned pro or new to the game, get ready for insights, strategies, and a dash of humor. So grab your favorite beverage, cozy up in your favorite spot, and get ready to deep dive into the art and science of ethical scaling. From client success to boosting lifetime value. Plus, learn how to turn clients into your best advocates. Ready to scale ethically? Let's dive in.
All right, welcome back to the Ethical Scaling Podcast. This is episode 6 of season 2. Today, what we're going to do is a light recap of what we've covered this season, because we gave you guys lots of stuff to digest, to implement. So we're just going to go back through that, and then we're going to give you a little teaser around what season 3 will entail. So as always, I'm back here with my bald-headed brother, Dr. J. How are you doing today, man?
Doing good. I'm excited. I feel like time just flies when we're doing these kind of things. And I mean, I love doing a good podcast. So it has been amazing to do these 6 episodes. And we're already super excited and pumped about what's to come for season 3.
Totally. And this season, it was like the best of the best things to focus on when it comes to client success, right? It's like episode 1, we looked at, okay, how do you start building your client success team? And I think too, we touched on, if you have a team already, how can you really take that team to the next level, right? And both of those are so important. I think for me, the big thing around teams is you're never going to find unicorns that are going to just be able to do everything all the time in your client success, right? I think that's a big one for you too.
Yeah, I think for me, the analogy I'm using is think about, for you and I, it was a long time ago when we were dating people. Like if you expect to go dating and to find someone who's already perfect and aligns with everything you want, and you have to do nothing, no arguments, no work, no investment, no effort, you're just going to be left alone, because it's going to be extremely rare, if not impossible, to find exactly who you have envisioned. So the same logic applies when you're building your team. Like, yes, you need to look for a specific type of person, some personality traits. Like a couple of things we talk about on personality traits, we're talking about someone who is willing to show up, great follow through, organized, potential to be a leader. It doesn't matter if they're going to lead someone, but they're going to lead their clients as a minimum. So someone who's willing to take the next step and go under your wing for a while to learn how to become a great leader for their clients, and in case they ascend to the next level, in case they need to lead a team, and understanding that in order for you to scale, it's going to be very, very impossible for you to scale without having a team. So either you have one or you want to have one. It's important to go back through episode 1 and just to get some of the principles we discussed in episode 1 to make sure, if you have one, what can be done to make sure you scale properly that team. And if you don't have one, and think about hiring your first couple team members, how can you do it right the first time around, so you don't have to repeat this cycle, go through the frustration of hiring the wrong people, because hiring and firing can get like really expensive. There is a lot of energy, a lot of money invested into someone. And again, we've placed more than 100 CSMs or more than 100 people. So we know it can be challenging to find the right person, but it's not enough. Like, we're going to give you the best potential hire. And I'm going to underline potential, because then we're going to give you that potential, but it needs to be nurtured in order for that person to become like the rock star it can be for your company.
Yeah, 100%. And then, in episode 2, we focused on, should you productize your services? So, what are some of the big things you see there right now?
Yeah, I think as most owners that have some kind of a coaching, consulting, or some kind of an education-based company, they tend to, even agencies to a point, they tend to double down on the product, which I think is relevant. We want to make sure whatever product or service you have, It's really, really good. We're not saying you shouldn't focus that, but I think there is not enough effort and energy applied to the other two areas that are needed for your clients to perceive as much value as they can while working with you. And people get stuck in trying to optimize their product or service by 1%, by getting more videos, better videos, like extremely edited, and they don't focus at all on the context, making sure that we create the right environment and context for your clients to perceive value. Because again, any behavior, it's going to be context dependent. So if you want to make sure your clients show up correctly and get the best results while working with you, you need to shape their environment. You cannot leave it to a rare occasion when someone shows up and they actually have the right environment and they're primed for growth. Is how can you double down on that? And typically through a CS team, it's going to be the best way to do it. So it connects to episode number one. And then number two, it's how can you foster consumption? Like how can you get whoever is working with you or your team members to actually use what you have to offer? Because that's normally one of the things that tends to cause churn, is that you give them something amazing, but because of the lack of consumption, they don't use it, or they don't use it enough to see the value. They're just going to say like, okay, cool, I hired this company for 3 months. I probably going to pay for the 3 months, but I'm not going to stay after that. And that's going to mess up with your potential lifetime value for your company. And you're going to go through the rat race of just getting new clients every month or every 2 months. So I was sharing with you, Ben, one client of ours, for them, their acquisition actually has been stable over the past 3 months, but their churn went from 20+% to 2% last month. And basically, more than 50% of the revenue this past month of January was recurring revenue, not new contracted revenue. So think about when you look at your business, how would it be if every single month, more than half of the money you're collecting comes from existing paying clients instead of chasing new paying clients? And that comes down to you having a team that understands content and consumption, not just the product. And again, like I'm going to highlight this again, they focus on the product to make the product better. They didn't stop there, but they basically created 3 projects. Like the owner is doubling down on making the product better. Their CS team and their CS leaders have been working with me to increase the perception of value from consumption and coaching and using everything that is being given to them. And those things together skyrocket perceived value, meaning that the clients are going to be more than happy to pay month over month. So that's kind of the big takeaway. So I highly recommend you watching episode 2 if you're in this kind of moment in your life where you're thinking, I should just make my product better. I should add more videos. I should do more stuff. Maybe not. Maybe there are some other things you could be doing that can give you better results, and probably with a smaller amount of effort.
Yeah. All right. And then episode 3, we went into quality control. Now, Jay will talk about the 3 areas of quality control, or 3 layers. But the big thing is that basically none of our clients, when they come to us, are even doing quality control when it comes to client success. They do it in sales, but in client success, it's like, well, I think things are good, or it seems like clients are happy. We get lots of wins, but they don't actually do quality control. So that's your starting point, right?
Yeah, I think I've never seen a single more than 100 clients over the past almost 5 years that had any quality control system. And they might have something for sales, but I don't think it's a thorough process, even for sales. But I know we double down on client success, but they can easily copy what we do for client success just by listening to episode 3 and apply it to sales, and it worked amazingly well. So here, one thing that helped us massively, and myself, when thinking through the quality control processes, was my previous engineering experience. So when I was doing engineering for 10 years, I had to do a lot of quality control. So I had to audit multiple layers, not just a logical layer. So when you think about quality control, it's making sure you have a system to ensure everyone complies with the system. So for me, in my engineering days, even before we would start a project, we have to respond to an SOC, a statement of compliance, even before we started. So that SOC would have to be filled out before the project starts. And then throughout the project, you will be evaluating every single requirement to make sure that all the deliverables matched that SOC. So for you, the biggest takeaway, like if you've worked with us or you've done it by yourself and you've created all these SOPs and systems internally for client success, do you know if your team is actually adhering to those SOPs? Or are you just waiting for them to follow them without knowing if they're following them? That's going to be a critical lever. Then number two, it's KPIs. That's what most people that reach out to us are aware of, and they want to see. I want a single source of truth. I want a dashboard. I want all that. That's critical. But it will help you not only have the KPIs, but it will also help you set some more realistic expectations on what the benchmarks for your team should be. Like some people say, oh, if you come and work for us, you got to make like 200K a year if you retain 90% of your clients. Then we look at the KPIs, and the retention over the past 6 months has been 5%. So it's kind of misleading, and you don't do it intentionally. You just don't have like that single source of truth. But basically, whoever joins your team comes with an idea that you have high retention, then you don't. So either they're going to get frustrated because they don't make enough money, or they're going to find something out there that can actually pay them more because they feel like whatever was sold was not what they thought was going to be the job that they're going to be part of. And then last but not least, which I think is the most done in sales and not done in basically client success, is the qualitative part. Can you audit the quality of the coaching that your CS team is providing to your clients? And this goes beyond like the SOPs or the KPIs. Like, how are they coaching the clients? Do they make the clients feel seen and heard? Are they able to reassure clients they will be successful? Do they paint a picture about the clarity of what's coming? Are they able to help clients connect the dots between you do step 1, 2, and 3, and then you get to whatever outcome you want after the work together? And I know this is going to be biased, and I don't want this to be a soft pitch, but we invested so much money and time building our client success tracker software to do mainly these 3 things. It was built to streamline the workflow for your CS team. But if you are an owner or a client success director, we've built it for you so you don't have to guess. Basically, you can just open the reports, see if everything is being updated on time. You know what happens with every single client, and you can move from the reactive approach, which is what most people deal with, to more like a proactive approach. Okay, cool. I can look at my client health scores. I can look how well my team is doing with those clients. What can we do to prevent some of these clients from not renewing or even churning?
Yeah. And yeah, we usually don't pitch stuff on here, but maybe we'll put the link to the software in the show notes so you guys can at least check out a demo and just see, get an idea of what's out there. Again, we're biased toward our software, but it's really about, are you able to track these things and do quality control in a systematic way that also doesn't take up hours and hours and hours of whoever's time that needs to be responsible for that. So
yeah, 'cause we need to minimize the friction to make sure that everyone uses it. And again, like last month, we ended the month with, I think it was roughly 140 active users using the software. So I think proof of concept has been a long time ago. I think we have enough track record at the moment to show that the software is working amazingly well. And I want to thank all the innovators that might be listening to the podcast for trusting us with their teams and their data to make sure we could give them the best solution ever. But at the same time, I think they got the early access as innovators to something that is going to be very disruptive in how we do client success.
Yeah, 100%. All right, episode 4, we went over the 3-step process to scaling an online business, which the 3 pieces are low churn, high LTV, and then referrals.
And it's very self-explanatory, but most people don't think about scaling that way. When they hear the word scaling, it's like more team members, more acquisition, and that's part of the equation. But the real definition of scaling is you just need to make sure your business becomes very efficient over time without losing any signs of effectiveness. So why do we focus on churn first? Well, let's start with the basic premise that if you're losing clients throughout their initial journey with you as a company, that needs to be fixed ASAP because you're losing revenue. It's contracts that are going to go delinquent because you're not going to collect those payments. We're talking about chargebacks, refunds, and things like that. That's the first thing we need to address from the get-go. And until that's addressed and manageable, it doesn't make sense for you to focus on other initiatives because that will create more volume of clients that cross the finish line in whatever segment of time. Either you have a retainer model or you have like a contract model. I don't know which is your model, but even for a retainer model, you have some kind of an internal mindset that the client should stay with you as a minimum, as an example, 90 days. Okay, we need to get more people to reach the 90-day mark so that we can think about what's coming next. And when that's fixed, we can double down on like, cool. Now I'm not happy that my clients stay with me for 90 days. I would love to get paying clients to stay with me for a year or 2 years or 3 years, but you need that volume from low churn to be able to have those conversations. So it's going to be important for you to understand what offers make sense to your clients in order for them to stay with you for a longer period of time. And again, the longer the clients stay with you, not only will drive LTV, you'll have more opportunities to ask for referrals. And if you think about it, if you have low churn, you don't lose money. If you get your clients to be retained and stay with you for longer, you're going to make more client out of each client, more money out of each client. And then last but not least, if all those clients bring a referral, even if it's a third or a fourth, like 1 out of 4 clients brings a referral, that's literally bottom line revenue because you have no acquisition costs for those referrals who can bring referrals down the line. So that's going to help make your acquisition also more efficient and just not rely on your paid media channels or all your organic content. So those are the 3 things I want you to keep in mind whenever you're having discussions about scaling your business.
Yeah, for sure. And then last but not least, in episode 5, we talked about how to deal with frustrating clients. So this is a big one for almost any online business, right? How to deal with frustrating clients.
Yeah, it's a huge one because we have this weird expectation that by magic, by doing all the work we recommend, we're not going to be dealing with frustrating clients. Frustrating clients are going to happen all the time. What we can do, and it's in our control, is to make sure we have a repeatable journey, something that we can do over and over again. And at least we know we're going to create the same conditions in the same environment and the same flow for every single client that comes through. That's the minimum. This is why when we do consulting with any company, that's where we start. Every single company that starts working with us, we focus on the journey first, because unless we have a repeatable, streamlined version of their client journey with one or multiple implementation pathways, if they serve multiple people, different people, it doesn't make sense to spend time on anything else. And then number 2, like we need to understand that it's very different when you launch an offer and you're dealing with a few clients to then basically scaling their offer, serving hundreds of clients with different archetypes, different approaches. You just need to understand it's going to be dealing with a very different segment of clients. So we need to understand that dealing with all those different clients will require your team to be trained on dealing with expectation setting, expectation reset, and even having difficult convos when the clients are not following your recommendations and your requests. Because it's super easy to say those who do the work get all the results, but at the same time, like if they're not doing the work, shouldn't we investigate why they're not doing the work? And that's something your team has to be trained on to make sure we don't ignore the big elephant in the room and we can actually take the necessary steps. And every now and then we're going to have like refund requests here and there. If you see that coming, if it's manageable, there is nothing you need to be like overly concerned about, but I recommend listening to episode 5 to get some of the tricks and strategies Adam and I discussed on that episode.
Yeah, for sure. All right, now season 3, we've got some real special stuff coming up in that season, and what we're going to do is start to bring in guests, and some of the OGs from the online space are going to be visiting us. They're going to be sharing, their war stories, their tips, their tricks, their accomplishments, even frameworks that you guys can utilize to help you grow your business. So, stay tuned. Season 3 is going to be super exciting. Jay, anything else you want to share about season 3?
Yeah, like we thought about like who are going to be the 6 or 8 who are going to join us for season 3 so they can share their stories, their wisdom, their insights, and a lot of the good stuff. We ended up with a list of 16 people. So we're going to go through some curation of the next week or 2 and see who's available to get that recorded in SAP. But for all the listeners that listen to our podcast, my request would be if there is anyone in our space that you would love to hear their story, their takeaways, their frameworks, their struggles, I just want to ask you, just share that with us because we can reach out to them and say, hey, people want to hear your story. People want to hear what you have to offer and share. Let's make sure you can be on the podcast with us. We have a really good list of people to join for episode 3, and it's going to be like very much conversational. I want to make sure they have a safe space where they can share all the things that they might not share when they're recording their tactical content, something that can get us all to learn that being an entrepreneur and an entrepreneurship is not all made of rainbows and unicorns. There are a lot of hardships they all had to go through, and you're going to learn a lot from them. I'm for sure going to learn a lot from them. I'm super happy that I had enough time to spend a lot of time with these entrepreneurs who are very successful, but I think giving you guys the opportunity to connect with them as well on ethical scaling lens, if you will, would be massive.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ethical Scaling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights and laughter. If you enjoyed today's show, spread the love, leave us a review, and share this podcast with fellow business enthusiasts. And let's create a ripple effect of ethical growth together. Until next time, keep scaling ethically, dreaming big, and finding joy in the journey. Now, Jay and Ben are signing off. Cheers.